everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about skipping gears in a manual car, and I'm going to be specifically addressing should you do it and when should you do it if you should. So let's get right into the video. First and foremost, I will say this: you can skip gears in a manual car. It is very possible if you're driving a manual car. If you're driving a sort of semi-manual car, like something with paddle shifters, then as far as I know, you can't skip gears because you're going to have to upshift twice. But if you're driving a manual car where you have a gear selector, you can shift gears, okay? You can skip gears when you're shifting gears. For instance, going from first to third, going from fourth to second, you're skipping gears, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. Now, you can do it. Now I'm going to tell you why, if you should do it and when you should do it if you should. So one main benefit, the main benefit is that it will save you some wear and tear on specific gears. So let's say, because as you drive and you drive in, let's say, second gear, you're going to wear and tear that gear, right? So if you want to preserve your second gear, then what you can do is you can skip second gear. Now the benefit to this is, let's say you are a racer, you're racing on a drag strip or quarter mile, whatever the case is, right? And you know that your second gear is the most important gear for your car, and you're driving your car to the racetrack. You want to preserve your second gear. So what you would do is you might go from first and shift into third. You're going to skip second. If you want to preserve third gear, you would go from second to fourth, right? Now, the key factor is when you're upshifting and skipping a gear, make sure that your car's speed is going to match what it needs to be. So if I'm in first gear and I want to shift from first to third, I'm skipping second, right? I'm driving in first gear. If I'm revving at like 4,000 RPMs and I shift to third, I'm going to drop way down. So you kind of have to over rev in the earlier gear. Like if I'm going from first to third, I'm going to have to rev extra high in first before I switch to third, because I'm skipping that second gear, right? Now, on the other hand, when you're downshifting, you have to make sure that your car is not going to go past red line. So make sure that your RPMs are low enough to match that skipped gear. So if I'm going from fourth to second and I want to skip third gear, if I'm revving at, let's say, like 5,000 RPMs, and I would regularly be downshifting to third, but instead I downshift to second, my RPMs are going to spike up there, and I might over rev the car. I might redline the car, which is not good for the engine, because if you're trying to preserve a gear and you redline your car, not a good idea. You're not preserving anything. You're doing damage to your engine, right? So you have to make sure that it makes sense, okay? Now I'm going to give you an example. My old 2009 Civic Si, which I loved so much. I love that car. I always say this: I would buy it again. If I saw it in the future and I had the garage space, the exact car, the exact color, I would buy it again and I would soup it up and make it so fast. Anyways, what I would do is if I was on the highway and I was slowing down and I was revving, I was in fourth gear, let's say, and I slowed down significantly because of traffic, and I was revving really low, 2,000 RPMs or something, and that car redlined at like 8,000, it would scream. So I'm reminiscing now, as you can tell. So if I was in fourth gear and I was revving really low, like 2,000 RPMs, and I wanted to downshift, I would skip third and I would go right to second, and it would jump up the RPMs to like 6,000 or something, or 5,000, I don't know, somewhere around there. But if I was gonna downshift to third and then immediately to second, I might as well just skip it. And what I would recommend when you're doing a skipping of a downshift, so you're downshifting but you're skipping gears, is Rev-Match Downshift. I've done a tutorial on it. You can find it online on YouTube, but also it's not really hard to do. Just when you're in the process of downshifting, blip your throttle and it'll make it smoother, because if you don't Rev-Match Downshift, what's going to happen is you're going to just fly around when you skip a gear and downshift, because the RPMs are going to spike up, okay? So you can do it, okay? And it's very possible. Should you do it? If it makes sense, then sure. If you want to preserve a gear, then upshift and skip a gear when you upshift. Skip the gear that you want to preserve. You want to preserve second, skip second. You want to preserve third, skip third. But make sure that you are making sense of the RPMs of that skipped gear. And if you want to downshift and you're gonna you're revving really low, then you can, downshift and skip a gear, but Rev-Match Downshift, so it makes it a smoother shift. And also make sure that it makes sense. Like if you're already revving high, don't downshift and skip a gear. That doesn't make sense. But if you're revving really low and you would be downshifting only to downshift again, like I'm on fourth, I'm downshifting to third, immediately to second, what's the point? Just downshift, skip a gear. If I'm in fifth and I'm going to fourth, immediately to third, just skip the fourth and go from fifth to third, right? If it makes sense, then you should do it. But those are the only circumstances, in my opinion, that allow it to make sense. When you're upshifting, if you want to preserve a gear, to not wear and tear on that gear. And if you're downshifting, if you're revving at the right RPM and it makes sense, then just skip a gear. That's it. In this video, I've talked to you about skipping gears in a manual car. Should you do it? And when should you do it? If you should. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.